Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all people from different walks of life. You know, obviously basketball is what brings everybody together, but what ties us together is our human nature and our commonality in that. And have different philosophies when it comes to schematics and how you want to approach a situation. But when it comes to dealing with people, it's all the same no matter what vocation you're in. And you know, being as personable as possible for me has always been the way that I was as a player and the way that I've been since. I'm David Vanterpool, Associate Head Coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Early on in high school, I played football as well as basketball, so I tried different sports, and I love football. Like, football was like my favorite sport, and I thought I was a really good football player. I thought I was okay at basketball. At one point, I had a headache for probably a week and a half straight, all day, every day. And I just decided, I was like, I'm not gonna play football anymore. And my growth spurt just happened quickly. So, you know, I gravitated completely towards basketball from that point on. And again, it felt like the sport chose me.
At the other forward, a 6'5" senior from Silver Spring, Maryland, number 44, David Vanterpool.
I accepted a scholarship to St. Bonaventure University, which is in upstate New York.
What about David Vanterpool and the Bonnies? Can they retaliate?
Well, they're going to hope that they can, and they hope they can keep things close for a while. First of all, the Bonnies started out losing their first 3 games of the year. Now they're 6-6. And yes, David Vanterpool is the man.
It was a completely different environment than the one I grew up in. I grew up in Washington, D.C. area in the late 80s, early 90s. Not really a diverse community. And I go to school in upstate New York, close to Buffalo. And, you know, in all honesty, it's funny because that ended up kind of being a testing ground for some of the things that kind of became my life and where I went and the places that I traveled after that, the things I had to adjust to being in a different environment and immersing myself in the cultures that I wasn't necessarily familiar with. So I had a solid career as a player, I thought. I was inducted into their Hall of Fame, and I had a good time, had a great time. Well, I went the longest route around to get into the NBA. My first thought, especially talking with my agent at the time, we decided to go overseas. And you know, now I'm in a country that I don't speak the language. The first stop that I went to replace a player in Italy. And my heart was not in it at all. I'm like, I'm here, I don't want to be here. I was in a hotel the first week, and I called home every night and was on the phone for hours at a time, and my phone bill for the hotel basically was my pay. Whatever they paid me, I had to pay the hotel for that week. I mean, it was a disaster, but I wasn't prepared at the time to be, I guess, just dropped into that situation. So it was tough early on. I ended up, my first year, I actually played in China. From that, like I said, my heart was still about trying to play in the NBA. So after a few years of that, I came back and played in the CBA first and was able to live out my dream. I ended up getting called up by the Washington Wizards, which is my hometown team, and had opportunity to play for them. I mixed in with the New Jersey Nets. They were in New Jersey at the time, and the Detroit Pistons a little bit. But you know, I had an opportunity to make it to the league as a player and actually play games and, you know, go through some of that process, and I really fell in love with that. After that, I actually went back to Italy and decided to go play for a team in Italy, which was great because now I'm mentally prepared to immerse myself in that culture and learn to speak Italian, and was there for three years, 3 seasons, won an Italian championship with Siena, Montepaschi Siena. From there, I got another call from another team after a few years, and I ended up going to CSKA Moscow, which is, again, another country, different culture. And we were fortunate my first year there. We won their first EuroLeague title in 35 years, I think. And then it was time, my knees were telling me, my back was telling me it's time to stop. So my coach, my last year playing, was Ettore Messina. He told me basically, he was like, you're gonna come coach when you finish playing. And I always told him, I don't want to coach. I don't want to deal with players like me. I don't want to deal with this stuff. So my first year after retiring, I basically took kind of the year off to see what I wanted to do. And you know, basketball, the game, it just kept calling me. I always was interested and wanted to be around it. You know, everything for me is to try to be as positive as possible, try to empower them as much as possible, and we try to figure out solutions together. You know, I feel like first of all, players are highly talented, far more talented than I ever could have been, and you want to allow their talent to take over each situation that presents itself. You just want to give them possible solutions. The reality is I can't see through the same lens that they're looking at. So I try not to impart myself into, you should do this over that. I just want to give them, hey, is this a possibility? Is that a possibility? Can you see this? Can you see that? And I think they're receptive to it, and they take some ownership in things that happen on the court because they've helped make their decision on what the solution should be. I've turned into the type of person that really believes in trying to be wrapped up in the journey more than the destination. I even go back to when I was a kid. Not having some of the things that my kids now have gave me a lot as far as fulfillment. So when I wanted to hook up with my friends, if I picked up my house phone and made a phone call and somebody wasn't home, then it was hang up, and now I'm on my bike or I'm walking or whatever, and I'm taking a journey from my house to their house to see where they are, where they might be. Or maybe it's a basketball court around. Let me go see if they're down there at the courts. On that journey, I'm encountering life, encountering real life, and having to deal with the things that are going on around me on a personal basis and learning different things. Okay, well, maybe I went that way last time. That wasn't a good street to turn down. Let me go this way. So now I've learned something automatically. I mean, it's incredible how far we've come with technology and the advances of society and the things that we have created. But we have to be cognizant and aware of the things that we kind of miss out on. And from that, the journeys that I had as a child, I really try to stay wrapped up in the journeys that I'm having now. So I look up and I happen to be where I am now. It's not, I'm trying to get here, there, you know, so on and so forth. It's just a journey, and you just stay wrapped up in the journey, stay in tune to who you are, what you're doing, and things seem to take care of themselves.